Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with another video from The Federalist dated February 16th, and microphone's still acting up a little bit, so it's going to sound like I'm talking to you through a wind tunnel apparently. So the article from February 16th says, running cover for Biden's senility is the umpteenth example of how media interfere in elections. And you've probably already seen since the disastrous interview where or I shouldn't say interview, but press conference where Biden came out and was like, nothing's wrong with my memory, and then he couldn't remember a damn thing. That you've seen the media just kind of being like, oh, everything's great with him. He's totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong, even though, they're basically telling you to ignore the evidence of your own eyes and ears. So let's see what the Federalist has to say about this. It says, media excuses for Biden's senility aren't just political favoritism, but an example of controlling what information reaches voters. It says, in 2020, corporate media blacked out coverage of the bombshell Hunter Biden laptop right before the presidential election. And after the election, a survey of Joe Biden voters in swing states found that nearly half were unaware of the pay-for-play scandal evidenced by the laptop, and nearly 1 in 10 said they would have changed their vote if they had known about it. And that's an election-altering percentage of voters. And I think it was found out that, just to be a little more specific, that they said that it actually would have swung the election to Trump had these people known that this was going on. So, yeah, and of course our media not reporting on it, and also all the people that signed that statement saying that this was Russian disinformation, I think they should be brought up on charges of treason, but they also, helped swing it. So they lied to you, people bought it, or didn't know about it because of the media, and of course now we're in the position that we're in. Because here we are one presidential election cycle later, and 62% of voters say Joe Biden not having the necessary mental and physical health for another term is a major concern of theirs heading into November. A full 89% say it is at least a minor concern, but again, media outlets are telling voters to disbelieve their own eyes about Biden's unelectability, as I was saying. It says, even after a special counsel declined to charge Biden for his apparent crimes relating to classified documents because he deemed the president too senile for a trial, corporate media are extending a generous double standard to Biden at best and outlandishly lying for him at worst. It says NBC News cited brain experts. What the hell is a brain expert? Like, can you guys say like a like a neurologist, like a brain expert? That just sounds like fifth grade sort of thing. Like you don't actually know what the person is, but you're like, yeah, they're a brain expert. Yeah, they okay, so they cited brain experts, NBC News that is, to assure readers that forgetting the names of acquaintances or having difficulty remembering dates from the past doesn't affect decision-making or judgment. Then they took things one step further and said there are cognitive benefits that come with growing older, the paper insisted. Like what? It says mental processes like decision-making and judgment can actually improve with age. Well, sure, because you have experiences. Okay, but they don't say like your brain like gets better at doing things. Like it's I don't think that's true. But yeah, what the hell is a brain expert? And they're trying to say like things that happen to all of us in everyday life are just, that was what was happening with him. It's like the what's it called? If you're just sitting around and you're like thinking of something and you're just like, man, I just don't remember that one specific thing. They're trying to say that that's the same thing that Biden's going through, which just is not true at all, but okay. So the Associated Press downplayed Biden's apparent case of Alzheimer's by observing that any parent who's ever called one of their children by the other's name, or even the family pet's name, likely could empathize with Biden's clueless verbal fumbles. And sorry, Mom, I'm going to bring this up now. She doesn't have Alzheimer's, but my mom brings up my older nephew's name. She calls me my older nephew and vice versa half the time. And it's a joke. I mean, we know that she's, it's obviously, it's not like she has memory problems and we're like, we got to get her to a brain expert, as this article says, or as the NBC News says, and be like, something's wrong with her. She's screwed up. Okay, we know it's a gaffe, but this isn't like Joe Biden, who it's like literally every time you see him is lying about something, and like lying about something he should know, like, when his son died, for instance. Let's see if this article goes over it, but let's keep going. It says, verbal gaffe or sign of trouble, mixing up names like Biden and Trump have done is pretty common, the headline insisted, so we're running cover for him. Because the Washington Post got experts to say platitudes like, an older brain is a wiser brain, and we should not be prejudiced about age, as if Biden's number of years alone, and not his repeated severe symptoms of cognitive decline are what worry voters. And Drew Holden, who is someone you should follow on Twitter, and I'm not going to click on that. This says the media rushing to defend Biden against allegations that his brain is broken, which we've known since before he even took office. Okay. But yeah, of course, if it's Trump and Trump misspeaks on something, and like, what did he say the other day? He mixed up Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley, and this was a couple weeks ago or something at one of his rallies, and people were like, "Oh, see, Trump does it too." And it was like, okay, he obviously misspoke. Biden is clear. There's something clearly wrong with this man. So let's keep going. It says verbal slips happen, promised NPR, suggesting Biden's slip-ups really aren't a big deal and that they simply feed into an existing narrative perpetuated by pouncing Republicans. Yeah, gosh darn, those Republicans notice things. So the networks trotted out Biden's Democrat allies and say he is sharp, focused, he's bright, he's on top of his game, and he knows what's going on. Literally none of those things have ever been used to describe Joe Biden. Okay. So there you go. This is MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, who is, by the way, the biggest perpetrator, or one of the biggest perpetrators of the Russia collusion hoax, so suggested Biden's fitness for the presidency is evidenced by the fact that he rides a bike, which, remember, if we see the video that he fell off of that bike, he stopped and then he just fell. Says even though when Biden tried to ride this is the one I'm referring to. It says even though when Biden tried to ride a bike across a crosswalk in summer 2022, he ended up taking an embarrassing fall. It says age may just be a number, but it's not just about Biden's age. Anyone who has observed him can tell that the current president is frail, often spatially and mentally confused, prone to impatient outbursts of an elderly man who has trouble communicating, and carefully controlled by handlers who do their best to keep his flailing public appearances scripted and limited. And while at 4 years Biden's junior, Donald Trump isn't that much younger, voters see vastly different pictures of energy, wit, and even physical strength in the two men. Yeah, there's no comparison between the two. I mean, Trump does not seem like he's 77 years old, and he still seems as spry as he's ever been. He's out there doing stuff, like he's golfing, every day? I know people might think of golfing like, okay, you don't really do much, but you're walking quite a bit, okay? And for 77 years old, doing it every day, that's work. Biden, on the other hand, has been on vacation for 40% of his presidency and can't get through a press conference without embarrassing the entire administration because he screws up something that he should know. So it says, but media outlets are nevertheless determined to both sides Biden's senility problems. Voters, suggest the media, are so dumb they only see Biden's mental decline as worse than Trump's because the Republican hides behind things like hair dye and a fake tan. Yes, clearly that's why. Okay, yeah, Biden's memory lapses are worse than Trump's. Okay, sure, whatever. It says, those same outlets, you may recall, published articles declaring that Trump was mentally unfit, no exam needed, I remember that, and has shown marked signs of impairment and psychological disability that are a danger to us all. No, it's because you guys just didn't like him, so you made that shit up. And keep in mind that the guy who has, basically his finger on the nuclear football right now is the guy that actually is these things. Okay, so I would say that that's a danger to us all. Never mind the fact that, he's gotten our country involved in some way in 3 wars in the world, and Trump didn't do any of that. But anyway, it says the New York Times was not writing cautionary headlines like memory loss requires careful diagnosis, scientists say, when Democrats threatened to use the 25th Amendment against Trump over concerns about his mental fitness, which has never been a problem. They just, again, didn't like him. So the difference, I say, and to people on the left, there's a difference between not liking somebody and this person has dementia. I don't know what to tell you other than those things aren't the same, and it doesn't take a smart person to know that. Okay. Says any Republican expecting fair and balanced treatment from such outlets should get back in his time machine and head back to never. But the double standard isn't just a display of political favoritism. It's an example of how corporate media outlets work to control the dialogue about candidates and therefore how or whether you are informed as a voter. It's a truth universally acknowledged in legacy newsrooms at this point that the old standards of objectivity don't apply in the face of someone as problematic as Trump, and they will tell you so. They will do just about anything to keep you from voting for the scary orange man, which I plan on doing, up to pushing a concocted hoax smearing him as a compromised asset in cahoots with Russia, which we already know was a plant and it never actually happened, but they're still pushing it if you notice that, especially on MSNBC, which is nothing more than state-controlled media at this point. Just telling you to disbelieve your lying eyes and Biden's cerebral dehydration, that's the propaganda junior leagues. Yeah, very good article. I like that a lot. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, I need to ask the question, but I'm going to anyway. Do you think there's something wrong with this man right here? If you do, let me know what you think that is in the comments below. I'd certainly like to hear what your thoughts are on what you're seeing. But like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.